Right, welcome to the channel. We're back with a Bitch Mam's review. Oh yes, you guessed it. Now, before I get into the actual review of the episode, it occurred to me whilst watching it that every single episode is basically pushing a new agenda in each and every single episode. It's pushing a brand new narrative. Now, there is obviously, because it's Bitch Mams, that there's obviously the poo-pooing of men in every single episode, right? That is the main push behind every single episode. However, in each and every single episode, there's a new trope that they push along, new agenda, new political stance, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. But in every single episode, this is happening. And it occurred to me last night, and I thought to myself, right, fantastic, excellent. Let's recap, because when you notice it, it becomes very, very clear and very, very obvious. And it's really, really funny. Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, this show's definitely not woke. What are you talking about? You're just a hater. Well, for starters, are you 12? Shut the fuck up. Get off the internet. But secondly, it absolutely is pushing, an agenda and a narrative. And I will say from the outset, look, I don't necessarily think that discussing these things is bad. I don't think that certain ways that they're framing these things are bad. But I am sick to fucking death of my entertainment. Not that this is entertainment, but I am sick of entertainment on a whole being used as a vehicle for agendas. It's really, really tiresome. So I thought, right, what we'll do before we get into the review of episode 6, which is called I'll Be the Judge, I'll Be the Jury, we'll discuss each and every single episode's main narrative. Well, the main agenda that they're pushing in each and every single episode. Just to open your eyes, I guess, because it is interesting. It's really, really surprising. So episode 1 is obviously military and homosexuality, right? Homosexuality being lesbians, gays, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But that is the agenda that they push. And there's obviously the man bashing in there. Well, a healthy dose of man bashing. Got to be done, ladies and gents. Got to be done. Has to be, doesn't it? But the main agenda that they're pushing is, or the main thing that they want to, be used as the vehicle here is the discussion of the military's response to homosexuality. And they frame it, and again, the hilarious part of this is it's all framed from a fanatical left. And again, I don't think the left or the right is necessarily bad, but it's the fanatics on each side which is bad. And this is viewing the world through a fanatical leftist's eyes. And it really is. And it's hilarious as a result of it. So you have the stereotypical military man, sergeant, calling out the homosexuals literally out in the open towards everyone. If you got something to tell me, sir, blah, blah, all this kind of shit. And it's like, really? Come on now. That would not happen. And even if it did happen, then obviously it's terrible, but come on. Really? Really? So that's the main thing that they push in episode 1. Now, episode 2 is a difficult one to really get into and discuss too much. There's not an awful lot that they do in this episode with a narrative, but they really do push home, and it really do push home it's the lack of policing. So it's the crows that get pushed to the forefront here, and again the man bashing as a result of it. So there's all of that stuff there, and then right at the end there's a new love interest. So sort of get in there anyway. Get in there with it. But Luke Fox becomes an absolute pansy ass in this episode. So again, it's really belittling the man. I think that was their main focus on agenda-wise. Now, episode 3 is interesting for a few reasons. And episode 3 is all about austerity. So again, man bashing, of course. But we're almost looking at the world through like a communist's eyes. We're talking about austerity of houses and buildings and things like that. People living in old apartment blocks, having their apartment blocks bought out. So they're getting money and then being turned into skylines and things like that for the rich. Why is this a thing in a show? Seriously? And that was the main thing. And this one, the main story that was used to push this narrative, which... Again, remember, this is all about austerity and, communism and things like that, because that's what it is. The main character used to push this? Hush. Thomas Elliot. Hush. Yes, ladies and gents, they have Thomas Elliot in this episode, episode 3. Terrible, right? Absolutely awful. And that one's pretty bad, right? Obviously, that is, a pretty bad situation. And then, episode 4, we go austerity, but then we go women, strong whammons, all the way home. Because in this episode, episode 4, again, man bashing is still there. It has to be there. We also have a new love interest. Again, ladies and gents, got to be a new love interest, which is introduced at the end of episode 4. Episode 3, sorry. Now, episode 4 is all about the magpie, I think it is. Magpie or blackbird, someone like that. A brand new... I mean, it's just a Catwoman character, basically. It's Catwoman light. She comes in, steals from the rich to enrich her own life. So again, a little bit of austerity, a little bit of communism behind it there. And then, but everything that she's stealing, and it all builds, the whole episode builds to a display in a museum for strong women through history. Of course it does. Why? Of course it does. For fuck's sake. And then obviously there's the LGBTQ business going on behind it because Batwoman has a new girlfriend. Now, episode 5, not a lot happens in this episode. It's filler. It's a filler episode for Alice and Kate's background. But there's a little bit of commentary on facial scarring, which I don't know if you guys in the States know this, but in the UK it's become quite a massive thing. I think it's the BFI, the British Film Institute, won't give you money if you have villains with facial scarring because they're really trying to push that as just trying to remove it from public perception, which is stupid anyway because no one views people with facial scars as actual villains in everyday life. It's not the way people view anyone. It's really an outdated... it's a medieval way of looking at people. No one does that in this day and age. It really is not done. Little kids might, but they're little children, right? They think everything's a bit weird and poke fun at everything they find uncomfortable. So that was the main part for episode 5. It was pushing the story between Kate Kane and Alice, and then talking about facial scarring. A little bit of a commentary on facial scarring. And then episode 6. So we're up to date now. And you might have thought to yourself, well, look, Mr. H, you're talking about all of this stuff, and it doesn't seem all that woke. I can see some comments here and there. Well, episode 6, ladies and gents, is about racial profiling. Yes. Oh, yes, I know. Again, you're probably looking at me like, you're smoking crack. What are you talking about? Racial profiling in a DC superhero Batman ripoff show. Why? Well, I don't fucking know. But yes, racial profiling is the main narrative of this episode. So, just to... Look, the whole show's terrible. The only good thing about this was the outfit of the Executioner, which looked pretty good. But the show started off with a dude in a parking lot, looking at his car, an electric pylon falling on his car, and then the Executioner walking along, smashing open a fire hydrant. Obviously, electric pylon... water, fry yourself. But this dude that's looking at his car, bearing in mind this is a massive parking lot, right? You can guess what's coming. The water didn't stretch the entirety of the parking lot, did it? No. But he chose to run directly behind him, so directly in line with the fire hydrant, and the fire hydrant's path of spray, to an electric fence to try and climb over the fence to avoid the electricity when he could have just ran that way. People like this deserve to die. They deserve to die. But the outfit was pretty cool. But it was all about racial profiling. Basically, the Executioner was a guy at Blackgate Prison that was executing people because apparently they still got the death penalty, which is news to me. They even name Jack Napier the Joker, so they actually name the Joker in this. Which I'm surprised the internet's not an uproar about that. I mean, they've named the Joker, have they not? I get it that it's from the comics, but Jesus, people, come on, where's your outrage? And it's all about racial profiling because apparently they just framed black and brown people. That was words that they use in the show, and he was a murderer as a result of it. So he was trying to get his own back on the people that framed the people that he had executed, who were innocent, by killing them. That was the whole bloody episode. It's terrible. This show's just bad. I can't... I mean, what are they going to do next week? What are they going to do next week? What other agenda are they going to push next week? We've had it all. We've literally, I mean, we're getting to the bottom of the barrel, right? How many more episodes are there? Jesus Christ. Well, not next week, this week. Because it's out on Sunday, isn't it? So, I'm going to, well, it's out today. I'm going to have another episode to watch soon. It's terrible. Like, it's so, so bad. And then there's, like, horny security guards running about trying to flirt with bitch mams. It's just atrocious. And I was going to do a drunk review. Last night I had a few... Well, I didn't have beers. I drank some homemade mead. And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to just do a drunk review. But then I got so drunk because I had to, you know, drown this shit out my memory. Apparently not too much, though, because it's still in here and I managed to do this review. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. If you've watched any of this trash, did you notice each and every single episode the narrative that they're pushing? I'd love to hear it, genuinely. Because for me, I kind of knew it, but this was the real eye-opener here. When you out and out say, yeah, racial profiling. I mean, I'm like, Jesus Christ. All right, then. Yeah, really, really apparent. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, make sure you do hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on these, my Batwoman reviews. I actually have a whole playlist of this now, so check them out. Some people find them very, very funny, so please do go and check them out if you want a good laugh. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I've missed the age. Take care.